you guys that have not seen Pete Meier, he's pretty amazing when you go on the website, and he's into Twitter and Facebook and everything else. So with no further ado, Pete Meier.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Good. Before I get started, does anybody remember the speech that Clint Eastwood made at the Republican National Convention? You know, to the empty chair? Okay. That had to rank as probably one of the worst speeches of all time, but I guess the Donald beat that earlier in the week. I guess he was speaking some Republican affair, and even the guys that were his biggest supporters probably thought he had a little too much glue on the toupee that day. So I want you to just keep one thing in mind. Keep that in mind as I go through my few minutes of rambling here. You know, the first guy is a noted actor and director. You know, the second guy's got more money than God. And up until about 2 years ago, I was just a mechanic. So just kind of keep that in mind. How about Dave DeCourcy, guys? What a job. And then after lunch, I guess we get to listen to John Thornton. Where's John? Is he hiding back here somewhere? He's probably snuck out. This will actually be the first time I actually get to sit in a full class with John. I've seen him at Vision a few times, in fact, just a few weeks ago. And on Friday, he led an 8-hour class with Scott Manna. And I mean, there was like rock stars in there. They had like 2 jumbotrons in there, and I don't know how many techs filled that hall, but it was huge. I mean, John's the only instructor I know or have ever met that's got his own groupies. I mean, seriously, there were dudes there with T-shirts that said "Disciples of Thornton." Pretty cool, pretty cool. I didn't know where they were sacrificing the Virgin and Vision or not. Anyway. And then, so here we are in Fishkill, and I got to tell you, this is my second time here. The first time, I got to admit, gee, I'm thinking to myself, really? Fishkill? Of all the towns you could go to? And I didn't think much of it the first time, but the second time around, I tell you, my wife and I, for fun, we like to pull out 2 wheels and go exploring towns around, you know, the state where I live. And I hope that switch from Massachusetts to Dixie doesn't throw you off on the accent. But we started a little thing we call the alphabet run, and what we do is we pick towns in our state from A to Z in order, and then we go ride to these towns and learn a little something about them. So this time when I was coming back to Fishkill, I figured my curiosity was up. You know, where did the town of Fishkill get the name Fishkill? And I found out that the best information I could find out was that it was named after Fishkill Creek, which is I think just east of here, is where it's got its name. But the most interesting thing I found out was back in 1996, the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, PETA, actually came to town demanding the town change its name, because they said the name Fishkill created an imagery of cruelty to fish. And they had a problem with that. But actually, if you do a little more digging, you find out they were kind of off base. Fishkill is actually founded by Dutch settlers back in the late 1600s, and the name came from the Dutch word vis for fish and kill, K-I-L, for creek. So actually the name Fishkill was Dutch for Fish Creek, and that's how Fishkill got its name. Some other interesting things about Fishkill you may not know. Did you know that the 4th State Colonial Congress met here in 1776? So for actually a time, Fishkill was the capital of New York. Not for long, but it once was. Also, a little side note about Fishkill is that one of the largest colonial encampments during the Revolutionary War was here in Fishkill. In fact, Alexander Hamilton actually changed his residence here for a time. It's a lot of history here. I won't look at Fishkill the same. You know, when you first hear that name, I'm thinking of guys in the creek with baseball bats. You know, now I'm going to think more of, you know, these revolutionary heroes that helped found this country. I mean, imagine that. You're sitting here in the cold with your musket, facing what at the time was probably the strongest military in the world. And a lot of the history was right here. So much for the, there you go. There's the trivia for the day you can talk about over lunch. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about our industry, and more precisely a few insights, pet peeves, observations, if you will. You know, again, I spent 35 years working on cars, and up until 2 years ago, and I get to do this for a living. So let me start off by asking first this question. How many guys in this room spend their day fixing cars? I don't mean the shop owners. I mean you're working for a guy, you're a line tech, you're spending your time under the hood. How many? Okay, a whole bunch. That's cool. Now let me ask you this. How many of you guys are making, the same guys raise their hands, how many of you guys are not making 6 figures a year, 100 grand a year? Okay. That's probably the first misconception that I've been hearing lately, and I've been hearing it from pretty high up sources, but we're actually telling, or these people are actually telling people that people who enter our business can make 6 figures a year. And I'm like, I sure like to know where they're working. Because I never made 6 figures a year turning around. I don't do that now. But that's the impression that we're trying to tell folks, or some of these industry folks are sharing with people that are trying to get involved in the industry. And I think that's one of the reasons that a lot of guys who are taking 2 years of school and then going out into the field, you know, for $9 an hour, become disillusioned real quickly, and we lose them. You know, the facts are there are close to 750,000 technicians in the United States today. And according to the latest statistics from the Bureau of Labor, the median income, in other words, half make more, half make less, is about $36,000 a year. Okay. Only the top 10% make 60 plus in this business. And I want to think about that group for a minute, that's 750,000. I guess I should back up a step. On my business card, it says I'm the technical editor for Motor Age magazine, and that's part of my responsibilities. But my official title is content manager, technicians channel for the Advanced R Automotive Group. That's just a little long to put on a desk sign. And what that means is it's my job to take whatever information and resources that I can find and bring them to you in as many different ways as I can. And I'm sure you know, of course, we have the print magazine, and we have the training videos that we're doing now, and the webinars that we're doing with TST. All of these resources combined. And we probably reach about 500,000 of that 750,000 group. But now that I've been doing this for a few years, and I've had the chance to travel, a lot of the observations that I made of the shops that I worked in my little southeastern corner of the world seem to be carrying on nationwide. I want to share that with you. How many of you guys would agree that of that 750,000, there is a small percentage of guys in this business who are just outright thieves? Okay. Yeah, I'm a little cynical. I would say it's probably a little bit more than a small. I would say that a lot of them are the ones who are making that 6-figure a year. They've learned how to run the system. If they're working on any kind of commission-based system, they've mastered how to work the system. And I work with guys like that. And I really wish there was a way to get them out of the business. I know whenever time the topic comes up, we talk about licensing, professional regulation, this type of thing. I've heard, you know, pros and cons 50-50 when we ask, you know, our polls. I don't think you can solve it that way. First of all, we don't have enough money in the state budgets to enforce it. I know that a lot of us old-timers like to say that, well, they'll weed themselves out, they'll go out of business, but if you've been around for a while, they ain't gone nowhere. They're still here. I think the one way we can address that is through consumer education. Doing our little part to make sure that customers understand what's involved in fixing a modern car and how to look for a good tech. So that's some of the things that we try to do with our YouTube outreach. We now have over 500,000 views, and they're not all professional technicians watching them. Okay. Okay. Again, the next percentage I would say of that group are guys who just need a job. It really wouldn't matter to them whether they were working in the shop or they were working at Burger King. They just need a job. So that's probably a small percentage of that, and they're probably on the low end of the scale. Every place needs, you know, an oil change guy or a lube tech or somebody to sweep the floors and take out the trash. In the middle of that group, how many say that there's a large percentage of the people in our industry who are hackers? Let's throw parts at the wall and see what sticks. Dave had quite a few examples of that. Guy's been in the shop for 2 weeks. Scott Shoden, I believe is how you pronounce his last name, delivered a class at ATE a few weeks ago, and had a story of a Mercedes that they were trying to chase down and misfire on. And they were ready to replace the engine. They replaced everything else without success. It turned out to be a sheared keyway on the crankshaft. But so we have a lot of guys that just throw parts of the car. They look for the silver bullets. They go to IATN because they ain't tested nothing, looking for the easy fix. And of that group, I think half know they're hackers, don't care. Again, they're just trying to make a paycheck. And I think on the other side of that, the other half, though, are the guys who maybe know they're hackers but don't want to be. They just don't know what they don't know. For a while there, I was, early part of my career, because I tell you, I didn't get what you guys got. We didn't have an organization like TST to provide training or provide these opportunities. In fact, down in my area of the country, there are no training opportunities. If there are, we never heard about them because the word never made it to the back. And if there were, they were circuit riders that wanted, $300 for a 3-hour session, after work in some hotel room. And dude, if I went back to my wife and said, I'm going to spend $300 for a 3-hour, she's going to look at me and say, we got a mortgage to pay. Remember, the median income is only 36 grand a year. That's not a lot of money. I have learned over the last few years, though, that the guys who are in that group don't want to be. They want to be better than what they are. Okay? They have every desire to learn, but they don't know where to get the information. That's where I figured I'd try to come in. That's when I reached out to an organization that was already doing that, and I came to G. And we started talking about ways to make that available. That's where the webinar series that we do was born. And I say that we probably average, 600-800 registrants for everyone that we've done so far. And I still run into people who don't know that we do them. So slowly but surely, we're trying to change those hackers into the final group that I'd want to talk about, and that's you guys. You guys are the cream of this industry as far as I'm concerned. I mean, here's this Saturday. What are you doing with your Saturday? You're here. I mean, granted, you got 2 great instructors to learn from, but there are a lot of other things you could be doing with your Saturday, right? You're investing your time, your money, your efforts into improving your professional skills. And if there's anything in the world that I don't want to do is lose you guys. Because on the industry average, 15,000 of us a year are getting out of this business for a lot of good reasons. It's easier on your body. Tools don't cost as much, and I can make more money. So why do we do it? Why do we stay here? We love fixing cars. We love the challenge of fixing cars. We love being able to sit like Dave does or John shares about stories about these guys couldn't fix it, but I could. I had the tools and equipment and the skills to do that. So to keep this short so you guys go eat, let me just finish up by saying this. On the bottom of the magazine, the title on the front page of the print issue, it says Advancing the Automotive Service Professional. That's what I want to try to do. To bring whatever resources that we can to help you get better, to help those guys who don't want to be in the hacker category get out and move into the professional category, to keep the guys who are already doing the job right in this business and making the money they deserve to make. That's what we're trying to do. And to that end, I'll let you know on the back table where you registered outside is a whole stack of my business cards. I'm not a hard guy to find as it is, but anything that I can do, any comments or critiques that you guys have that can help me do a better job for you, please call, email, Skype, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Not hard to find. All right. So with that, I want to say thank you for your time. Have a good lunch and enjoy the rest of the day.